Hey guys, what's up? So yesterday I streamed the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo that came out, and I have a few things that I want to say about it. I played the original Final Fantasy VII on the PS1 around 14 years ago, and I remember that I beat the game twice, not twice in a row, but twice. I also remember that I became a big fan of it, I really liked the game, I loved it, and immediately it became one of my absolute favorite Final Fantasy games in the series. However, over the course of time, the game just didn't grow enough with me. I eventually got into a lot of other great RPGs, and they won me over. So in the end, I became a fan of Final Fantasy VII, but not that big of a fan. Therefore, when the remake was announced, a long time ago by the way, I wasn't really interested. Eventually, year after year, they started showing improvements, new stuff, new images, new material, new trailers, until we got to the point where the game itself became finally a reality. And even then, I have to admit, I wasn't interested. However, being an original fan of the original game, I couldn't resist downloading the demo just out of curiosity, just to see what kind of game it will turn out to be. Obviously, I played the game with my expectations at a minimum, with an open mind, because I knew from starters it was gonna be very different. And it turned out to be, gameplay-wise, extremely different. Now let's start with the graphics, which, since the trailers looked absolutely amazing, like the game is, and I'm pretty sure this is an objective statement, this isn't just my opinion, no, it is objectively true that the graphics are impressive. Like, this game looks amazing. If this is the demo, only the demo, I can't wait to see how the original game, the final product, is going to look like. Graphically, Final Fantasy VII is mind-blowing. However, we knew that from the trailers. We knew that already, we knew it was gonna be very visually stunning, right? But what about the gameplay? I mean, games can look absolutely beautiful, but if the gameplay is trash, the game is probably trash. Final Fantasy VII Remake, the demo that I played, fortunately wasn't trash at all, quite the contrary, it was pretty damn good. It just had a couple of things, a couple of details that I didn't like, but in the end they're just details. The biggest problem, and probably the most controversial one, is the fact that they changed the battle to an action RPG. Like, Final Fantasy VII Remake is an action RPG through and through. No more turn-based at all. But we'll get to that later. The first detail that I didn't like, and this is gonna sound very stupid, but it just bugged me a lot, it bothered me a lot, is how they changed the menu to the X button. I didn't like that. Usually, even in some action RPGs, the triangle button is used to bring out the menu, right? Well, here they decided to put it on the X button, which is usually in most action games, or even turn-based games, or most RPGs, goddammit, is used as an action button, or at the very least as a cancel button to cancel text, to cancel dialogue, to move on, to close things. But it's just a detail, you know, if I ever get to play this game, I will probably get used to that, no problem. Another detail that I didn't like is that the bosses take forever to kill. Like, these are the kinds of bosses that we see in a lot of action RPGs, and they have these requirements to beat them, like these weaknesses and shit. I'm not sure I like that. This is something that we've seen often in the Ys games. The Ys series is known for having some really tough bosses, and you can't just hack and slash your way through them, right? Final Fantasy VII Remake is the same, but I don't know why it felt kind of wrong. Like, was it really necessary to make these battles really long? The first boss in the game, in the demo, was really long until I finally found out that you could just abuse the thunder magic and beat the crap out of him. But I get the feeling that even using or abusing the thunder magic, this would have been a really tough boss battle. And I don't say tough because it was hard, but tough because it was just unnecessarily long. But then again, it's just a detail, it's probably something that I'm gonna get used to it, and in the end, maybe I'm probably gonna end up loving it. So like I said, most of my complaints are just about small, minor details. They are not irrelevant details, they are quite relevant, but in the end they're just details, right? nothing that I can't get over with during the first hours of gameplay of the actual game. Now, the story seems to have been completely rewritten, at least that is the impression that the demo gave me. It just looks like they added a lot of dialogue and some more cutscenes and more development for certain characters. I thought that was pretty cool, but it also told me that this game is gonna be really huge. When it's finally released and it's finally complete, this might be one of those 70 or 80 hours games, even if we're just talking about completing the main story with no side quests, no exploration, no nothing. This looks like it's gonna be a huge project. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, that's entirely up to you. I think it's a good thing. I'm not really into really long ass video games or RPGs, but it's okay. I can guarantee that a lot of people are gonna be really happy with that. Now, last but not least, the battle system. Let's go back to the battle system. As you can see, it was completely changed, not turn-based anymore, and I don't understand that. Why did they decide to change the battle mechanics to an action RPG? I don't get it. Games like Persona 5 and Dragon Quest XI proved the world, proved Square Enix. Dragon Quest XI, come on, they made it. They proved that turn-based RPGs are not outdated, that they're still a thing, that they can be pretty successful. So why the hell did they make the decision to turn the battle system into an action battle system? I just don't understand that. Is that a bad thing? No, it's not a bad thing, but I guess for the Final Fantasy VII purist or for the old school gamer, like me for example, it is something that's just not right, that doesn't feel right. If this game was any other game, I would have been fine, but it is a Final Fantasy game, a remake of one of the most emblematic, historically important, revolutionary, turn-based RPGs. Why the hell would you change it to action? Why? That doesn't mean that the battle system is bad, because it is pretty good. I think this battle system is like an evolution from Final Fantasy XIII's battle system and Final Fantasy XV's battle system. In those two games, the battle mechanics felt kinda convoluted and kinda clunky. In this game, they still feel the same way, but the improvement is way superior. Like you can tell right away, they did a pretty good job with this new battle system. So in conclusion, like I said before, I'm just not the biggest Final Fantasy VII fan anymore, like I was during my 20s. I still love the original version on the PS1, and that's the one I want to keep in my memories. This game, in my opinion, and in conclusion, feels like a completely new, different game. Maybe the best way to play this game with an open mind is to just think of it as a new game. Just forget about the fact that it's called Final Fantasy VII or that it's a remake in the first place. Let's maybe just pretend this is Final Fantasy XVI and it's its own game, entirely new, and maybe that's the way to go. So I strongly recommend to everybody to download this demo if you can, play it, feel the experience, and formulate your own opinion. It's not a bad game by any means, it looks pretty awesome, pretty fantastic, but maybe old school gamers like me are just not the right market for it. That's all guys, thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!